Hi there, this is Solitron from Solitron Films, and welcome to another random review. And today's random review is of The Prisoner, film from 1955, directed by Peter Glenville, who directed the stage play, the script written by Bridget Boland, who wrote the play, starring Alec Guinness, who starred in the play, and Jack Hawkins. It's from 1955, and it's a strange little film. This is the Arrow Academy edition, and this contains a nice video appreciation by Neil Sinnard, who, if you own any Arrow Academy or Eureka, he does a lot of Billy Wilder videos, and he's usually quite good. And there's a select scene commentary by Philip Kemp, and there's reversible cover with this slightly disturbing image of a hand pulling at Alec Guinness's brain, which is slightly creepy. This film was banned a lot when it came out. It was banned in Italy for being against the Catholic Church. It was banned in Ireland. It got banned, or wasn't allowed to show at the Cannes Film Festival or the Venice Film Festival. Some people thought it was pro-communist, some people thought it was anti-communist. It's mostly a two-hander, with Alec Guinness and Jack Hawkins going at it. And it's about a cardinal who's arrested by a post-World War II regime, and they want him to confess to treason. The country that it takes place isn't named, but allegedly it was inspired by an event in Hungary where a cardinal was arrested and arrested and hung for treason after World War II. It's an interesting dynamic with Alec Guinness and Jack Hawkins, because they both fought on the side of the anti-Nazi resistance during World War II. But instead of the usual torture, Jack Hawkins is an expert in psychology, and he wants to break down Alec Guinness to confess by getting into his head. At one point he says that he has to become him, essentially, to think like him and get into his head. So this goes on over a period of months until the conclusion happens, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, obviously, for spoilers. It's an interesting little film. I had never heard of it, to be honest, before Arrow Academy released it. I think this was only out in April or March, I'm not actually sure, but I thought I'd give it a spin, and it is a really interesting little film. It's essentially about, Jack Hawkins wants to get to the kind of core of religion as a con, religion as a way of tricking the masses, tricking the poor into believing in things that aren't actually real, whereas Jack Hawkins' regime believes in concrete things and not kind of wishy-washy religion. And Alec Guinness is systematically food deprived, sleep deprived, light and dark deprived. The lights are always on in his cell. It's full of really good stuff with Alec Guinness and Jack Hawkins. There's some nice banter with the guard, who played the guard in the play. Like I said in the intro, this was originally a play written by Peter Glenville, who would go on to direct, I think, 4 films, mostly all from plays. And the play was written by Bridget Boland, who did the screenplay. Alec Guinness was in the play, and the actor who plays the guard was in the play as well. There's a kind of not a subtext, there's a kind of side story involving 2 lovers, another prison guard, and the wife of somebody who escaped the regime. And so there's a kind of side plot involving them, which, to be honest, isn't really that interesting, because you're really here for Hawkins and Alec Guinness at the top of their games. It kind of reminds me of a kind of Mammoth play, as far as kind of your allegiances kind of move and shift as the film progresses. Perfect example of that with Mammoth is obviously Oleana. If you haven't seen Oleana, please go away and buy the Indicator edition of Oleana, because it's a fantastic film. Not particularly from a cinematic point of view, but just from a pure two-handed piece of work. It's fantastic. I wouldn't say this is a great film. I would say it's a very good film. I'm not sure about the rewatchability of it, but if you want to see 2 actors really at the top of their games, you should really check this one out. Originally, Alec Guinness, there was a suggestion that Alec Guinness was going to play both roles, which would have been pretty exhausting, but fairly fascinating. And as a film about questioning religion, why people go into religion, it does bring up some interesting points. There's also pressure from a general on Jack Hawkins to kind of, it's almost like, well, why don't we just torture him to get what we want, you know, physically rather than mentally. So that's kind of nice kind of touch and through line as far as whether we should just physically torture him rather than psychologically torture him to get what we want. Yeah, again, I'm not going to talk about the ending or what happens near the end, but I just kind of wanted to talk about an interesting little film that probably won't get a lot of exposure, strangely enough. And it's funny for a film that at the time was banned quite a lot. Like I said, I'd certainly never heard of it. Not that I'm any expert or anything, but I'd never heard of it. And it's well worth checking out. The Prisoner, not the one with Patrick McGowan, from 1955. So thank you very much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below whether you've seen this film, what you think of it, what you think of the 2 lead performances, and hopefully we'll see you again for other random reviews. And certainly most of the films that I review certainly are random. This is Soldier Ronan saying thank you very much and have a pleasant evening.